Good evening. My name is Amy Barnett, and I will present my reading assessment notebook. Table of content consists of an introduction, some assessment tools, pre-emergent reader, emergent reader, early reader, transitional reader, and fluent guided reading. Throughout the notebook, I will discuss the 5 levels of reading, which include pre-emergent, emergent, early learning, transitional learning reader, and a fluent reader. First, we want to talk about a few assessments that are associated with guided reading. Our running record is an important tool that's used to assess and obtain documentation that is used to help us to learn if the student is indeed maintaining information and monitoring. It is very important that we allow the children to do the repeat, wait period, and correction. Give them time to do self-corrections. And all this will be recorded in the running record section of the learning process. And this is a very important tool. And it also gives us an idea of what the child is already knows and is ready to learn next. I also thought it was very important to include the quiz that we had on running records. It had some vital information that will be a quick reference guide for us when we're actually doing our running record assessment. So I did include that in the notebook. I also included some practice from the running record that I thought would be great, as we're going to reflect back on that when we're doing our reading assignments. Okay. I also included an article on how to make a running record. Okay, this is another part of the running record that's included. I also have some information about what accuracy is, the error rate, and self-correction. And this is letting us know the different levels of scoring for the running record. Running record, error rate, and accuracy chart. On the right-hand side, you will have the error rate, and on the right-hand side, the number that is correctly answered. Okay. Just some additional information about the running record and the importance of running records. And then the next assessment I included in the notebook was the letter ID score sheet. And what this does is it lets us know that the letters that the child is having problems identifying. And we go back and we work on them on those letters, okay? All right, and the score sheet is also included on this page. Phonological awareness assessment. This is working with rhyming, whether the child knows that 2 words have the same ending sounds. It also identifies sounds, okay? Not only does the child need to recognize the letter, but they need to also be able to recognize the sound that the individual letter makes. The Burke interview. What this is just an interview, and it gives a clear understanding as to what the child knows about reading, who they value as an important reader. It also lets us, it gives us the opportunity to encourage our young readers to want to continue to learn to read. And this is where we document the information that we obtain through the interview. This is a data sheet for the Burke interview. Okay. Print concept. This is very important because we want our children, our learners, to be able to not just look at the picture and get an idea of what the meaning is, but we want them at this point to actually look at the print, know if they're reading from right to left, if there's a capital letter, lowercase letter, punctuation that is needed, if there needs to be a pause. So we want to get an understanding of that the child is indeed understanding what the print is. Now this is part of the print concept. Okay. And here I'm going to begin with the first level of reading. And this is the pre-emergent reader. And what I did for understanding is that these children are just recognizing letters at this point. Many of them do not know any sounds, and they may not even be able to recognize at least 40 letters, whether uppercase or lowercase. And this level of reading consists of kindergartners and first graders. And a lot of them have not even looked at books until they entered school. So they're going to be working on sounds, identifying letters, and writing their name, things that are frequently used. And I've included an alphabet chart. And this gives the child the opportunity to, whether it's lowercase or uppercase, to identify the letter. And we will use the, we have a chart that we use for accuracy. If they did not get it right, we put a check mark so we know that we're going to continue to work on that letter for recognition and for sounds. And then the phenomenal word awareness, and that is giving us, letting us know they understand rhyming concept and blending of words. All right. Okay. I included all of this in a notebook, and I also have a copy included of the lesson plan for the pre-emerged reader. If I can get to it. Okay. It's the lesson plan for the pre-emerged reader. And the emergent reader is pretty much on the same level. They're first grade and kindergartners. And these students are still recognizing the letters and the sounds. And we have a chart here, an alphabetic chart, where they are to identify which letter is, whether it's uppercase or lowercase. The students should be able to recognize the letters better at this stage. We also, at this point, because they've learned how to identify the letters, they are now doing what is called sight words. These are familiar words that the children should be familiar with. They are frequent used words. And once they have mastered and the 100 frequency, they will then move on to the 500 sight word list. And the children are to correctly pronounce the words and spell them correctly. And we will be using the print concept to get a better understanding as if the child is maintaining the information that is needed. Okay. And all this is a part of the print concept packet. And the instructions for completing the print concept package. We will also be working with word manipulation here. And it also gives us some things we can do to be creative instructors with the students. We can allow them to play games, also to recognize words. So this is an assessment that we will use as well. Okay. Our next reader is the early learner reader. And at this point, the child knows letters and sounds. This is a first grade level. And the assessment we'll be using for this is the DRA assessment and the running record. The child knows the letters and sound, but they're still having some problems decoding difficult words. The students should continue to work on the errors that are identified in the running record. And we will use the decoding to help the student to break down the bigger words or difficult words for better understanding. Okay. And also I thought that the information for Chapter 4 was important to help us as teachers to better assist the students. So I did include that in the packet. And here again, with the early reader, we'll be also looking at the sight words. How well the child is able to identify the words, sound out the words, and also spell the word correctly. And we'll be putting that on the running record. We'll also continue to do word manipulation and we'll be able to play different games and get our students involved. We want to engage them and encourage them to become better readers and become interested in becoming better readers. And I also included the class planning sheet for the early child reader. The next phase of the reading that we're going to go over is a transitional reader. This child has gotten a lot of sight words that they understand. They have a clear understanding of a lot of different words. They have a large bank of sight words, and they're really doing good. And what we want to do with them is we continue to work on learning the phonics and how to decode and work on comprehending what he or she is reading. The Running Record Assessment is a great tool to use for the transitional reader. Okay, and I just felt like all the information that we had gathered about transitional was important, and that we can go back and reflect on there, and this will be a quick reference guide. So I did include the information for transitional, and they will continue to work on looking at words that they do not spell correctly. It's a little bit different from the other ones. They're working on words that they know and are getting familiar with, but here we're addressing words that they are misspelling. Okay, and I include that in the packet. Okay. And then also, at this point, with transitional, the students should be able to retell. It's important for them to be able to retell. The teacher will read a sentence or a passage, and then the child would ask the child to repeat the same sentence back. This gets us, lets us know whether or not they're comprehending. And also included was a copy of the transitional lesson plan. And finally, the fluent reader. At this level, we're using this child should be reading at a level N or higher. And I've included in the package a fluency rubrics for the child, for the notebook. I also included a recording clue system. A reading clue system, and included the Chapter 6 assignment to help us to have a quick reference as to how to better assist with the fluent reader. And I also included a copy of the lesson plan for the fluent reader. Based on the documentation that we received throughout the guided reading book, it lets us know that this is the guided reading is an effective tool, and if we apply it correctly, that all our students will have some increase in their reading skills. Here again, I do feel that the guided reading is a great assessment tool to better help our young readers to get a better